Hey plant nerds. Today we are here to talk about cleaning my AeroGarden sprout. One of them is already clean, the other one is an unmitigated disaster that needs to be cleaned. Somebody, Bacon, who is behind me, hiding, has already rampaged it and eaten just about every single tomato that was on it. This was originally set up to show you guys a root trimming experiment, but I really should know better than setting up experiments and stuff when it is the summer, so it pretty much grew uncontrolled. So we are going to restart, and we are going to, after it's all cleaned, I will do a root trimming experiment video that I will share at a later date. But before we can do that, we have to get this cleaned. If you're new around here, then hi, I'm Kiri. I am a micro homesteader in Zone 5B in Ontario, Canada. And on this channel, we talk about all things micro homesteading, from growing food indoors hydroponically to growing it outdoors in the garden, and other ways you can become more self-sufficient and less reliant on the grocery stores. So if that is your thing, or if you'd like that to be your thing, then you, my dear, are in the right place, because that's what we're going to talk about. But before we can do any more growing in this sprout, we need to clean it, because it's bad. I'm gonna flip the camera and show you the decimation and havoc that Bacon has brought upon this poor little tomato plant, and just how much of a disaster it is. Here's the culprit, looking, or trying to look very innocent. Bacon, did you eat all the tomatoes? You can see her bed is right next to it. So she usually faces the other way and just leans over. This plant used to stand upright. She pushed it down. There's a couple that have ripened since she last attacked it, but we'll get it all cleaned up. I think I'll probably transplant it to some soil. If you haven't transplanted AeroGarden plants from the AeroGarden to soil, it's not that hard to do. This still has some life on it. We've got some new flowers forming, so we will get it out of here, get it tidied up, because yeah, like I said, it's a disaster. This whole place just needs to be tidied. And there's a pepper plant as well. Not loving that one. These things, I took one off the other day. It seemed like a great idea, but honestly, the entire thing is seeds. I counted 53 seeds out of one of those, which is kind of crazy. I wonder if these ones have as many. Maybe I'll cut this open and see how many seeds it has as well. But yeah, and we'll get it cleaned up and ready to go. Like this one is refreshed, and then we will get them reseeded and start the root trimming experiment, and hopefully it will not go awry as this one did. So I'm going to go ahead and take this downstairs. So I'm gonna have to unplug it, but before I did, I just wanted to show you guys. So this is where the pump plugs in, and down here at the bottom is where the power plugs in. So I'm gonna unplug it from the wall, and then I'm going to take this one out and this one out so that I can kind of isolate the grow bowl and take that downstairs. If anyone's interested in seeing the whole unboxing and setup of these guys, I will put a link up above to that video, and you can check it out later on. So I have the grow bowl out. It's one of the nice things about the sprout. It is actually the easiest model to clean. Over there's my gorgeous rise garden. That one is what I like to call the high rise. Let's get this bad boy downstairs and cleaned up. So now we are down in my crappy little kitchen with the whole plant. I've got some glasses. I'm just going to fill them with water, take these plants out, and just kind of set them in here so that they still have water while I am cleaning this. And then after I'm done all the cleaning, I will turn my attention to these guys, and I will transplant them into soil. If you want to know how to do that, like if you haven't actually transplanted any of your AeroGarden plants to soil, or you did and it didn't work or anything, I'll put a link up above to my video on how I do that. I've done it many times successfully. It's not even that hard, and it's a great thing to know, because sometimes you just want to switch things out, or like in this case, this guy probably has some more life in him. I'm gonna still give him a chance. It's just a good way to not just throw the plant away, because we don't want to waste it, but I can move it out and transition it into dirt. apologies, I do not have a fancy overhead camera setup, so we are just going to have to make do with this. I'm going to, I love these little things for covering the holes. I'll put a link to them down below, but you definitely don't need to use these ones. I just like them because they fit in. You can use golf balls or anything else to cover it. We just want to make sure whenever we're growing hydroponically that we are covering up any of the slots that we are not using, because we want to limit the algae growth. And algae is going to grow when we have light, moisture, and nutrients, which we have all three in hydroponics. The only thing that we can easily eliminate is the light, which we do with these cups. And when you have the plants in here with the stickers on top, that helps eliminate it through the holes you're using. So this one is where you would normally put the water. This is the main grow deck, which probably helps if I'm not holding it in, so I will just dump those off. One of the things I love with this compared to the other models, the other bigger models, is to clean the deck. It's just, you can just wipe it down. There's not, most of the other decks, they are a two-piece deck, so you have to pry them apart. I show you how to do that. I'll put a link up above to cleaning my AeroGarden farm video. But this one, you can just rinse it all down, and you're going to want to make sure that you're not using anything like any soaps or anything like that that could get into the plants. I'm just going to give it a good rinse. And then after that, we will give it a cleaning with some vinegar and water. So we just gave that a quick rinse, just took off any of the residue that was on it. These are so much easier to clean than the other models. Set that aside. We have some roots left in here, which are all into around there. Get that off. We'll dump out the leftover water. Now we need to get out the pump, and there are two clips. It's very hard to show. There is one clip on the front and one clip on the back, and you just need to kind of pry it out to get the pump out. Do it gently because you don't want to break it. So I ease it out on the one side and then try and ease it out on the other side, which is easier said than done. It's probably a good idea to pop out the wires so you have better access. I think I'm going to use a knife. There we go. And then you should be able to tease it out carefully. And there we go. The pump is out, and we'll give that a clean. Don't go and lose the sponge. That sits right underneath. It all just sits right in that little area down below. So this is kind of mucky, so we'll give it all a good clean. One thing I find handy to do is if you kind of rub the sponge against itself, it helps to get any of the muck that's in there out. Just be gentle. It's a delicate little sponge. So, and if there's any little bits of roots that you can see on it, just kind of pick them out again gently. We don't want to damage the sponge, and then we can just set that aside. I have an old face cloth that I use just for cleaning the AeroGardens. I don't like to use paper towels, so for me this is just a better alternative, and I just keep it for that purpose. And just be careful because you don't want to damage those prongs that hold the pump in. Definitely looking cleaner than it was a second ago. I forgot to clean the door and there's some muck on it there. Just make sure the more time you take cleaning it and the more regularly that you clean it, the less buildup that you're going to have, and the easier it is to clean. Trust me. If you watch my video on cleaning my AeroGarden farm, you will see why you don't want to let it go for too long. And now I'm just going to gently give the pump a clean. There's a lot of buildup and residue on there. It's pretty much just going to wipe right off. Pay attention to underneath, where you can see all the little holes where all the water is getting kind of filtered through and getting sucked up here, and then it comes out at the top. So we just want to give that a good cleaning. And underneath the top of the pump, I'm actually going to go grab a Q-tip to help with that. For cleaning any of the other models, I would also be using a pipe cleaner. I go over why and how I use it in my other cleaning video. But for the sprout, you don't need it because it's just so much easier to clean than those other ones. And then you can actually pull off the little legs and actually get into the pump. Just be careful because it looks great from that side, but when we turn it over, there is residue in there and a whole bunch of muck. So I'm going to be very, very gentle on this. There's a little groove on the side which lines up to a bump on the top part. So just make sure when you're putting it back together that you're going to line those sides up again. Okay, so that is all cleaned, and now I'm going to just clean the little table that it sits in, and then I'll put it back together. Make sure you don't miss a spot. I just saw that when it was sitting on the counter, so I'm going to get that all cleaned in there too. So now that we've washed everything, there's 3 options you have to actually sterilize your garden. One that you can do is you can put the grow bowl and the deck into the top of your dishwasher and clean it there. That's one of the things that AeroGarden suggests. I have not done this, and it's not the pump, it's just the bowl and the deck. Just want to bring it up as an option because that is one of the things that they suggest. I had typically cleaned mine either with bleach and water, or more often than not just with cleaning vinegar. Because I'm doing the sprout today, I'm just going to use my cleaning vinegar. This is the one that I use, and it is 10% acetic acid by volume. On the regular vinegar, I'm pretty sure it's 5%. Now, before I can go ahead and do this, I have to reassemble the pump, because one of the things that you're going to want to do is, if you're using the bleach method or if you're using the vinegar method, you want the pump running, because the whole point is to circulate this throughout the system. With the sprout, it's more to get it through the pump. If you're doing one of the bigger systems, it's also to get it through the grow deck. And this is to try and make sure that we're going to get rid of any bacteria or any algae or anything else that may be growing. And I almost put that on the wrong way. Click it together, not forgetting our little piece of foam that nestles right underneath. And we are going to very carefully click that back into position. Trying. There we go. And it's in, and then I'm going to put the wire back in its little slot at the back. There we go, clicks in. If you are opting for the bleach method, typically it's a 1/4 cup of bleach per 10 cups of water. That's going to work for the bigger systems. Because the sprout is so little, I just measured it, and it only holds 5 cups of water. So I would do the 5 cups of water with 1/8 of a cup of bleach. For the vinegar method, you're going to use, because it's a 1-to-1 ratio, you're going to use 2.5 cups of water and 2.5 cups of the vinegar. Then whether you're using the bleach or the vinegar, you're going to want to let that run with the pump for 30 minutes just to make sure it's getting all the way through and cleaning absolutely everything. Then you're going to dump it out, rinse it all again because you want to get off the vinegar or the bleach. You're going to fill it back up with cold water and leave it to run for 5 minutes. If you're doing the vinegar, after that, you can dump out that water, refill it, and then you are good to replant it. If you are using the bleach, then what I do is I leave it overnight to make sure that everything's evaporated, everything is gone, and then the next day I will refill it with clean water and then plant it. That's just what I do. Now that I have this full of vinegar and water, I'm going to very carefully carry it back upstairs, and then we'll get the pump connected again, and we'll let this run for 30 minutes. But before I set it back in place, I think I should remove all the vegetative shrapnel first. Okay, so I got all that cleaned up. So what I'm going to do is I have put the grow bowl with the vinegar solution in it, nestled it back into where it fits in the base, and then I'm going to take the pump, going to reconnect it, and then I'm going to get the power cord as soon as I can untangle it. So I'm going to take the power cord and reconnect it down at the bottom. Before I plug it in, So the pump is running and I'm just going to leave that for 30 minutes. Bacon is napping and thinking about all the tomatoes that have been taken away from her. And I'm gonna go dump out this water and refill it with some fresh. So in order to do that, I'm gonna unplug it from the wall so we'll lose the light. I'm going to unplug the pump, dump it all out, and then we will reload it with fresh water and let it run for another 5 minutes. And now we wait again. While we're waiting, I thought we could see how many seeds were in this pepper. There's loads in there. I gotta count them. So there we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 64 seeds in a single teeny tiny pepper. Timer's done, so I'm going to empty out the water one last time, refill it, and then we are good to replant. So now we are done. It is clean, refilled. Can put in the caps. And now that is ready for our root trimming experiment, which will be coming up in a future video. I really hope that you found that helpful. If you did, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up because YouTube loves that and then it helps me reach more people. And then we can have everybody with very clean AeroGarden sprouts. You may want to go ahead and hit that notification bell as well while you're down there, because then you won't miss any future videos, and then you will know when I post that root trimming video, which will be coming very soon. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy the little things and go out there and make food grow. Bye guys.